Sydney's lockout laws came into effect in 2014 and left a lot of nighttime artists and performers going WTF. We did some investigating to find out what's going on 5 years later.
I feel terrible, as a DJ, as a performer, as an artist, as a young person in Sydney. It just doesn't make sense.
A lot of nighttime performers are fleeing Sydney to artistic capitals like Melbourne in order to survive and make a living, and many believe Sydney as a cultural mecca is dying.
There's a substantial talent drain in Sydney, so that's not just a talent drain in culture, it's also a talent drain in business. So a lot of young startup people don't see Sydney as an attractive venue anymore to live because there's not that cultural offering. We can't attract people from overseas, like good young developers or good young IT people, because they don't want to live in a place that doesn't have that live music and culture.
It's pretty obvious that nighttime foot traffic on Sydney's once bustling eastern suburb streetscape has decreased 60 to 80%, affecting LGBTQI performers and the gayborhood encircling Oxford Street in its own right, including the eternally fabulous drag queens.
We have DJs only working till like 3 o'clock in the morning perhaps, and so there's a full shift on every bar along Oxford Street that no longer exists.
And have you seen a reduction in LGBTQI performers on Oxford Street?
For drag queens and stuff, it's not as big an issue for us because we can easily go into straight bars and host trivias and bingos and stuff. So, for example, we no longer perform and do numbers quite as often. We would be doing that 7 nights a week in the old days, and now that has changed to just doing it like Thursday through Sunday. But to get extra money and to actually earn our living that we used to get, we now have to do trivias and bingos and host in straight venues, or we are kind of getting lots of corporate work and trying to branch out, which for us is, don't want to use the word easy, but it's something that we can sell and market quite well. When I first started performing, Oxford Street was bustling, and it was bustling during the day as well, and there was always something happening. And now on a Friday night, after kind of 1 o'clock in the morning, you can walk down the street and almost see nobody. There was a time when it took half an hour to walk from one venue to the other because there was so many people to talk to and to say hi to. That no longer happens. Every second shop is closed, has nothing in it. It's really sad.
So, there are convenience stores, there are other retailers, cafes, food stalls that operate or did operate those sort of lengthy hours and even all-night hours to cater for that traffic that the pubs and clubs really brought in. So it's been quite drastic and quite widespread, the effects that those lockout laws have actually had.
If you take 50% of the cars off the road, for example, common sense would say that you would have 50% less accidents. So we say that 60 to 80% less foot traffic around King's Cross and Oxford Street, of course, is going to lead to a 60% reduction in injuries. So all this has done is really just push the injury statistics out to places like Newtown, to Double Bay, the casino, and it hasn't really fixed the core problem, which is making Sydney safe but allowing it to stay vibrant. So yeah, the City of Sydney has just brought in some new laws which they unanimously passed, which provide 24-hour opening hours for non-licensed venues within the lockout area, and then for licensed venues that sit what I call on the border fence of the lockout zone or on the outside of the lockout perimeter. They're allowing some of those licensed venues to have a few more hours, and they're giving them an hour extra if they have performances. Even though these are a step in the right direction, they certainly apply pressure on Gladys Berejiklian to not be the last man standing, to holding Sydney back from becoming that global city that we all want. But until the lockout laws are revoked or repealed or taken away or switched off, then the same problems that live music faces within the city centre are going to remain, unfortunately.
I think that's a real acknowledgement that yes, there has been a lot of damage done by these laws, and here is the council trying to revitalise that, to bring that back and sort of re-encourage those artists and those businesses that have really suffered as a result of them.
I think every society deserves to have the space to express. And we got denied this. We're not allowed to express anymore.